This podcast covers sensitive topics that may be difficult for some listeners. Please take care while listening. Undrunk. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Girl Undrunk. I'm Heather.
And I'm Zoe.
And today we have Tabitha, founder and publisher of Life to Paper. Tabitha, welcome to Girl Undrunk.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm so excited to be here.
Hi, Tabitha.
Hi.
How you feeling today?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to start off with checking in on everyone's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm so excited. I have so much to get to already, but we should check in first.
Check in with us.
You want to start? How's your mental?
Sure. I'm good. I feel so excited to talk to you today. It's so cool that we both know Christy, and the Christy episode just came out last week. So I feel like that's like a sign that this is going to be such a good episode. Yeah, I made coffee this morning for the first time at my house because we're going to try to cook and like do things at home this year. Last year I didn't cook at all, 2025, but we're learning, we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee was decent. So
Okay.
I think
Where'd you get
like,
your coffee from?
got it from some coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the coffee
sometimes
beans.
you gotta like find the place that's like that the coffee you love
Yeah.
and not just the latte version of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You
It's going
know?
to take a little bit to like try all the different beans to see
Yeah.
which is going to be our bean, but
Yeah.
I think I was just like really proud that we did that this morning because it's like just like a little step in like
It's a
the right
small
direction,
step.
you know?
Mhm. Yeah, rather than doing it all at the same time, I'm
Yeah.
gonna cook all my meals today. It's like,
Yeah.
let's start with coffee.
Let's start with coffee.
I was gonna start with yogurt today and then I didn't.
thought that counts. I'm gonna give myself. I'm still rocking at an 8. I feel like I want to say a 9, but I'm like too scared to give myself a 9, so I'm
Sure.
gonna stay with an 8.
I love an 8.
Yeah. How are
Great.
you?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you.
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good actually. I'm still coming down from my post vacation, but I'm like riding that high. I was like just reading all about you this morning and I was feeling really like the past few days I've been feeling very uplifted. I ran into like an old friend on the beach in Cancun, which was insane. And then this morning I listened to Dak Shepard. He had Elizabeth Smart on, which, do you know who that is?
No.
This is where I grew up with the fear of being kidnapped and quicksand. And I
Yes.
think that when you came about, that was tempered a little bit.
Yeah. Who's Elizabeth Smart?
She was living in Salt Lake City. She was kidnapped when she was a child out of her bedroom window. She was in, like, her and her sister, she's Mormon. It was a 6 children in the family. She shared a bed with her little sister, Mary Catherine, and this guy who had worked, he was an unhoused person. Because they're Mormon and like church folk, they were like, oh, like we can give you a job. You can come help at the house, groundkeeper, whatever. And from like the moment he saw Elizabeth on the street, he like made his way into their house and then like kidnapped her like a year later or something. It's an incredible story. I've been following her since I remember it happening. Like I remember hearing it on the news.
A little bit.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
old is she now?
She is, how old is she? Let me look her up.
I'm trying to remember when this would have happened.
No, I'm excited for that one. I haven't. You
It's
always
really
get
good.
the ones early.
Yeah.
So then I'll watch it a few days after.
She's 38.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she
Crazy.
was taken when she was 14 years old for 9 months.
in the same bed as her sister.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Like
yeah.
also the connection with like religion and she was obviously assaulted during this and what that did to her as a person who is like supposed to be so pure under the eyes of God.
Yeah.
A lot of it was still like, okay, well, what if I do make it out of this and I get married?
Yeah.
Well, my husband is not going to want, like it's so much wrapped in rather than to just be like, this is a bad thing that happened to me. Now there's more.
Yeah. the
And it's
shame.
somehow my fault. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's she's amazing, and now she works with like victims of abduction, and she's an advocate. She's incredible, and
Okay.
the way she tells her story is, I mean, she's been telling her story forever, so it's beautiful. But I felt like I'm like she's doing it. She's just amazing, and I've been feeling very uplifted by all of this. I would give myself I think I feel like I'm at a 7.
Okay.
I know, I feel good.
That's amazing. I love how
today.
that story like made you.
I know. I know.
Okay.
I don't know. It just like she's very hopeful. I think
Yeah.
probably like the first, like I remember reading her book, and I was reading the book of like J.C. Dugard, who was also abducted. And I think like when I first read them, it was like dark and scary and horrible, and it is. But then being able to like listen to them now, speak about it and what they're doing and what they've learned, I'm like, wow, the victory is just, you know, making it out.
Yeah.
It's great.
Helping other women.
But anyway.
I feel like you're like me, like when like you started your day with stories. The more stories I have in a day, like the better I feel.
Yeah.
It's like my medicine.
It fuels me. It really fuels me.
Are you an avid like podcast listener? Like do you?
Yeah. I also love Armchair Expert. Diaries of a CEO I've started to listen to. Just I search for like themes, subjects, guests. So I don't always listen to the same podcast like faithfully, but I'm like, oh, this guest happens to be on this show or that, and I'm interested in listening to them. I will, and as long as the host is fairly like tolerable.
If I hear someone talking about their addiction, I just like go and find every podcast they've done, or every guest spot they've done, and I like want to listen more and more.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
For sure.
Exactly.
How is your mental health?
I'd say it's good. Like I'm in a good place overall.
Yeah.
I wake up pretty peaceful. I used to have a lot of panic like around the day and like take my time to wake up. Like, I don't know if I can do the world today.
Like, I don't know if I can get out of bed today kind of
I
feeling.
sort of like, like overthinking things, sometimes catastrophizing. But like I woke up excited to have this conversation with you two and like, you know, just what the day entails. So I feel like I'm like an 8.
Okay,
So
eight-ish.
good.
Eight-ish, I think.
This is a very positive room today.
Is there
I
anything
like
that
it.
you do to like help yourself get into that mind state every morning?
Like, I don't know. I feel like lately I kind of keep shaking my head at just like, I feel so peaceful, like in a way also waiting, when's the shoe gonna drop? Because I'm not used to this. Like this is the first time in my life I think I've really felt peace. I think I knew what, I heard the word, but like I'm like, that sounds nice, but I didn't really know it.
Yeah.
And now I know it. But the other part of me is like, when's it gonna,
Yeah.
shit gonna hit the fan?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, that was my life for so long. But I feel I wake up really like, you know, I feel grounded and like, you know, even like I'm excited to go take the dogs out and like, okay, today I have whatever it is, I feel kind of like I like my life today, I guess.
Yeah. And you're deserving of it. Like it's probably like a reminder, like you do deserve this life. You don't like deserve for the shoe to drop, you know, like you are worth it. You are here for a reason, you know.
Yeah, it's also like enough of that.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Can't think like that forever.
Before we started recording, we were just talking about, because I have an allergy to the sun because of my, what I'm assuming is my antidepressants. And you were saying that you're off of your antidepressants now. When did you get off them?
I could tell you like, well, when I got off was sort of like, funny enough, I only, you know, you make plans and then, you know, life happens. But the plan was like, I'm sober now. It's been about a year. I'm still on a monthly basis going into this like dark place for, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days out of every month.
Is it around your period?
I didn't track it that well.
You should try to see.
It was like, but I knew it was consistent. It wasn't like like for months at a time, but it would be like periods and like
Interesting.
They were days when like I couldn't do much at all. Like sometimes like it's like I get up, go to the bathroom, go back to bed. And I realized getting sober and being sober for a little bit, this has been happening my whole life. And I'm sober and I'm, you know, doing the things and whatever. I'm like, this is still happening. So it was suggested that I go on an antidepressant. I'm like, I'm willing to try this, maybe like a bridge, like till I get consistency. So I started taking it and it was like a miracle because for the first time in my life, I had consistency. Like I didn't have like, you know, because I'd plan based on my best days. And then I'd be feel even lower when I planned for tomorrow, I've got this full day, and I wake up and I can't show up to any of it.
Yeah.
So I was able to, for like a couple of years, like show up in a way I'd never had before. And I was like, this is amazing. And honest to God, I know I don't recommend this to anybody, but one day I sort of woke up and I found that I've been taking it every day. And all of a sudden I'd kind of been slipping, or like it got super late, or I'd forget one day. And it just like I naturally tapered off.
Interesting.
Like I, took it really late one day, then I missed another day. And then it was like, and it got to a point where I was kind of like, oh, I guess I'm like done with this now. I think maybe
so it wasn't a conscious thing at all.
It just kind of happened.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And it didn't throw you into a depression?
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay, because this is what I'm dealing with now. I've been on the same drug for, oh God, like 8 years. And I know that it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
I can feel it. And like, I probably have an immunity to it. I've never really felt the effects of it because I was drinking.
Yeah.
And I want to get off of it, but it's so intense for me to even like go down a dose. It just like, I'm gone. Like it fucks with me. I get nauseous. I get crazy. Like I really do. I get very sad. So I'm like, I want to like try and figure out a way if there's like a bridge to kind of get off of them or switch it up or something. But skilly. Yeah.
I can only say that at that time, the kind of changes going on in my life were like, I started like moving my body again more consistently. I started doing like hot and cold therapy on a regular basis.
Hot and cold. Get off your antidepressants and go to a cold plunge with me. Literally.
Do a cold plunge all the time.
Oh, I'll go with you anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime.
You like it too. I hate it.
And I'm so adverse to cold. I was
Me
so
too.
adverse to cold. I'm like, I can do a lot of things. I can't do this. But the feeling after, I don't know.
It's worth it.
Can't match that.
Yeah.
I think it had to be that because I finally, and that's why I took it. I'm like, I thought at first when I got sober, I traded like sobriety for, moving my body and because all of a sudden I didn't do any of that anymore. It completely dropped off. And I'm like, well, I guess if I have to trade something, I don't think that's what like the universe wants from me. Like wants me to have a full life. And so I started slowly. I really think it was the hot and cold therapy that opened the door to me starting to do like yoga again and, HIIT classes and stuff. Like all of a sudden it was just thinking about like taking that time every day, once a day. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, what am I going to do for my body today? And it opened the door and then I started doing things and I'm like, oh, I love this. I miss this.
Do you go to like Othership? Where do you go?
Yeah, I started going to Othership.
Yeah.
Well, became a member, started going really consistently. I also lived really close to one location. Or kind of to both. Yeah, I was walking distance from Adelaide. Yorkville was like 2 stops. Yeah. 3 stops up. So it was so easy. And then I moved here and I'm like, I know I'm not going to go as much. So I don't go as much, but I have tried out some other places around the city, like Alter. I've been to a handful or so times. And then I'm going to go to Sauna soon. Yeah. It's on my list.
It's on Geary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to check that one out too. Maybe we should go. So you think that's like the change that went on in your life when you stopped taking antidepressants? You started moving your body more. You started being more in touch with yourself. So when you stopped the antidepressants, you didn't feel the need to. Yeah. Which is interesting because my friend had to switch her medication and she was so depressed, like suicidal even. Like she was like, I need to check myself into a hospital. Like I'm scared what I'm going to do to myself. Yeah. And I actually introduced her to Othership and it saved her. She went like every day for 2 weeks. Like her mom even called me and was like, thank you for showing my friend Othership because she's like cured.
Okay. I will say we can't, that's not like medical advice because.
Yeah. And nothing we say is here.
No, of course. But like if you just cold plunge trying to get off medication.
She wasn't trying to get off. She wasn't
trying to switch. Yeah.
It was like when she was switching over and like that month time of like switching, it was like really hard on her body. Yeah. And I think like going to the hot and cold therapy like really did help her have that transition.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. That's the only thing like I can say that I was doing differently. That kind of just started and then that like I said, I don't recommend without but it just kind of happened for me. I think I was at the end of my prescription and I didn't go renew it, and I didn't feel any side effects that I can recall. I was on something else before that, and that one I noticed side effects.
Okay.
But it wasn't
Is it an SSRI?
It was topiramate.
Okay.
And what I found topiramate did was like, it definitely slowed me down. And if I had like a compulsive thought of any kind, it's instead of getting pulled into it, I'm very visual, but like it helped me just kind of stay on the surface and kind of like observe it. And but it did slow me down. I remember like for a year or so, it was like, what's that word again?
Holy shit.
And I'm in the word business, so it was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be okay again. But,
that happens to me a lot, where I'll just be like, we'll be having a conversation. I go, nope, fell right out of my head. Don't know. Yeah. I was on it and I'm gone.
But that happens to me too. And I'm not on anything.
I mean, and I realize
we talk all day.
I still do that now.
Exactly.
I know.
Don't have an excuse anymore.
I'm like, am I just not paying attention? Like, I think that maybe I'm not paying attention.
It's because we like did too many drugs and drank too much, guys. That's the problem.
My boyfriend said the other day, we were having I won't say a fight, an honest conversation.
Reframe. Perfect.
And he's like, and people have said this before, so I shouldn't have been surprised, but he's like, I just want you to know like how I observe you. Like, you walk down the street and you're in like this tab land, and all you see is what matters. You, the dogs, and me, and like he goes, here's where I'm different. I walk down the street and I'm like, this person's got a red sweater and that dog might come close to ours and and he's like, I'm checking everything, surroundings. I'm like, square footage of that building, like, and he's like, you're like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, no,
and
totally.
I find that so interesting because I could see what, where he's coming from. But I also think that it's funny that people observe me as like in this tabland, which I think they describe as like a happy, joyous, free place. That's not exactly what it's like in there all the time either. I am like thinking, and my thoughts can be heavy, and I'm also thinking of like, scenarios, and like, I'm worrying, but apparently people observe me as just like happy and free and light and airy, and I'm like,
that's how I see you. I mean, we've known each other for not that long. We've hung out one time, but you have like a very like peachy pink aura. Like it's but I was just reading about, what is it called? Invisibly Unwell, which is a new book that you're publishing. Yes. When does that come out?
March 3rd.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting. Is that your boyfriend's sober date?
I should know this.
It's right before mine, right?
Yeah, so it must be.
Yeah, mine's March 5th. So
is it?
Yeah.
Yay.
So soon.
Okay.
But I was just reading about that and how it is like a woman's, I mean, you can talk about it a little more, but the idea that like the women need to cope and need to be fine, but what's actually going on in there and presenting as however the world needs you to present and show up, but there's a lot going on. Which is such an interesting segue.
When Paige approached me, I was like, I'm so happy somebody is like brave enough to share their experience around this and like start talking about it. And the first thing I said to her, this was like, we started working together like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, I want this to be like, just not just about the book, but like the conversation. People start raising their hands who like have felt very alone in how they feel. And she found like her stories about, she's what she considers, people consider high achieving, high powered, whatever you want to call it, woman who like silently has struggled with autoimmune and disordered eating and and what that's looked like and how she found her own path to healing, I think, because she dove into, I think, one of the things with like high powered, high achieving women, and I think people pleasing comes into play too, is like, okay, you look at things as very dogmatic, prescriptive, like this is what this article says to do, so I'm gonna like do exactly all these 10 tips that the article suggests in this way, or if it's yoga, it's got to look a certain way. And she tried those things and ended up sort of realizing she needs to kind of create her own you know, wellness plan.
Yeah.
To take care of herself because, you know, she'd struggle with a few different things.
Yeah.
And I liked that because I related to her a lot.
Yeah.
She told me her story and just like how she felt as a little Paige, like a little girl in the world. I was like, yeah, me too, me too, me too. So throughout her telling me her story and her writing her story and me reading it, I was like, yeah, I felt the same way. You know, lives didn't look exactly the same, but like very much relate to the feelings.
Yeah.
It's interesting already that like there are things that I relate to you on, and then there's things that I'm like, oh yeah, addiction or like sobriety or these things, mental health. But then it's like, oh no, that's not me at all. Like I'm a person who, if I'm going through it, everyone fucking knows. Like I don't have that thing where I'm like, I can just push it down and like excel. I'm like, oh no, today I'm gonna melt. And then the walking around in Tabland, I'm more like your partner where I'm like, who's there? What's he doing? What's he thinking? Like what's you know, like I'm always very vigilant about what's going on around me.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a bit of both. I feel like I probably present as Tabland, but inside, like, yeah, she's thinking a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I have my headphones in, no, I'm not. I'm just like focused on like where I'm going and just like nothing is happening around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into your publishing and books and stories a little more, but let's start with substances. What is your relationship today to substances and alcohol?
I'm sober from all mind-altering substances besides coffee, if you consider.
They can't take everything from us.
Yeah. Just over 7 years. I celebrated 7 years on January 7th.
Oh, so amazing.
Congratulations. 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got sober like in the new year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason it's January 7th is because my New Year's Eve ended on the evening of January 6th.
Okay.
But let's officially
it's a long
say
New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah, that's what it was like for me though. Once I at that time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how it got. It was like once I started, I had zero control over how long I, you know, used for or how much I used. Like it was and the last one was especially terrifying. So that was January 7th was my day. I remember I didn't plan to drink New Year's Eve.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to dinner with the guy I was dating at the time, and you know, I'm not drinking tonight. Okay, well, you know, he's normie. I won't drink too. Easy.
Okay.
You know, doesn't think twice about it. And as soon as we sat down, I was like, I'll have a Negroni. And he's like, I thought you weren't drinking. I'd done this dance before with him and others, you know. They're like, I thought you weren't drinking.
Yeah.
Well, I want to.
Yeah.
And that just proceeded, you know, into like,
How do you go from New Year's Eve to January 6th?
Well, what it was like once I started, one Negroni turned into another, and then, you know, dinner turned into, oh, where should we go next? And he's like, well, home. And I'm like, no, let's dance.
Yeah.
Turned into, I was in Toronto, turned into the Four Seasons.
Oh.
And I, you know, that was part of my thing. It was like, you know, go somewhere where people might have what I want next, which is, you know, cocaine. I don't know if you want me to use that term or like
all the terms. There's no,
you
don't have to censor yourself at all. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty open about it. And, you know, and then I could call someone, I could sneak away. And, you know, that was my, and then, you know, once I got started, it was like, I had no control, like I said. And I was at the time back from Miami, but staying with my family on the family home. So that's where I went back there. I think I, you know, picked a little fight with him. Did that. So like, it was like, leave me alone kind of thing.
Fighting,
and that was one of the things, like I lived in secrecy, you know, at that point. I think they knew something was going on, but they didn't really know or want to know exactly. So then I'm in my family home and I'm in my cycle and I can't get out of it. So I'm sneaking around. I'm trying to be like ships in the night. Like they wake up and I stay in my room and they leave and then I come out and and that went on for days. And like that was one of the things I said I never do. Like I never do this in front of them or around them. And I couldn't, I had no control.
You cross those boundaries with yourself and then there's no going back, right?
And those 7 days were like crossed a lot of the lines that I'd said I would never cross. And it was a pretty maddening week, I guess you could say, from like, writing letters to say goodbye, because I thought, that would be, this was going to be it for me, to like meltdowns, to, breaking into my parents' room and taking money and like, just all these things. I was like, I'll never do this. I'll never do this. It just started happening.
Yeah.
But yet I couldn't stop. And even despite these like big dramatic, I'm in tears and throwing up and parents are in tears. I'm like, that's got to be it. But it was crazy how this, like, it had taken over me. And it was so strong. I remember, like, despite all that, I couldn't stop. And I finally passed out, like, for like, I don't know, hours. Yeah. And I woke up, I guess it's January 6th. And, I become aware as my eyes are opening, like my sister's there. And so, normally I'd be like, wake up. But my arm reached out to grab the bottle, my stuff. Right in front of her.
Oh my God,
and the first thing she said was like, she was holding the phone and she's looked at me and she's like, everything's gone. And I'm like, the panic of like, where is it?
Yeah.
And then the next thing, I guess she was on the phone with someone, and the first thing she said was like, my sister, she's an addict. And it was like my heart. But I think at that point there was also then this lifting, because it was like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Like, we're finally saying it. And she was, on the phone looking for somewhere that could help me. And that was like, okay, she found a place, and it was a pack a bag, and I was like, panic. Panic. Like, what do you mean? First of all, I can barely walk, because just what I put myself through over those days.
Yeah.
And, fear. I like, you have to take a shower, you don't look or smell great. I remember being terrified.
Yeah. Was this a younger or older sister? Like, were you close with her?
We were, yeah. Like, our relationship was definitely fractured over some years. But, like, I'd still say, she was one of the closest people to me. She did, my parents basically, they said, she's got to go. And they left. I think it was a work day. So parents were gone. They kind of sent her to like take care of it. She's got to go. Yeah. Because it got so bad and they had no idea what to do. And she did what I say is like the hardest thing, but like the best thing anyone's done for me, because she was like, that's it. She needs help. We can't give it to her. Somebody else can. And like, didn't know a whole lot about it. And she's a smart girl, She's
very brave.
Yeah.
It's a big swing.
She got me packed. I mean, I remember my health card was probably missing because I lost everything at that point. It took me quickly to get a new one replaced.
Wow.
Could barely keep my eyes open or walk or sit in the chair in Service Ontario. Got my health card. Drove me there, like make sure I got there on time, had everything I need, checked my bag 5 times to make sure that I hadn't somehow. And
truly.
And that was it. And I think once I got through those doors of the detox, something just kind of like, I don't know, I had this feeling of like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm safe. And I woke up the next day. I didn't know about detox. I hadn't been. I'd heard about it. I didn't really know. But I woke up, I showered, I made my bed, I got dressed, and they looked at me and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm ready. And they're like, well, you're going to be here for like 3 days, like in this bed. Like, what? I so feel great. I'm ready. Like, take me to a meeting. Take me to treatment. Like, it doesn't work that way, honey. Slow down. Have breakfast. And then
calm down.
You said something before about writing letters, saying goodbye. Were you talking about like dying or you were okay? So you were feeling that, like you had hurt yourself so much with substances.
I was planning to, I feel like it's so harsh to say it, but I was planning to, end my life. I didn't exactly know how. I sort of flirted with different ways. There's the first time during those 7 days I like cut myself. I'd never done that before. I'd heard a lot about it. And that was the thing. I was crossing these lines that I'm like, I'll never do this. I'll never do that. I'll never do. I was terrified of death.
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm like the thought of it, and I had like panic attacks over that when I was in university. So that was
me too.
yeah. Still, it still hits me sometimes, but it's better.
Yeah.
But I'd have it in like the mall and with my friends or in the car and be like, they're like, what? We were just talking about like what to get for lunch.
Yeah. And then you start realizing that like that fear, it's like, well, I'm going to do it to myself, but it's like I have control over it, but I don't. And now I'm scared. That's a very weird cycle to be in. It's like a Tasmanian devil. It's not.
Yeah.
And those letters were like amends, you know. I remember like it's interesting who I chose to write to, because it was like the things that were definitely weighing on me, you know, the shame, like the things I thought about when I was in my cycle of like using. I'd think about like my regrets and what I didn't say, or, you know, how I screwed up some relationship, or, you know, and so a lot of them were like apologies. Was
it mostly to like family, friends, relationships?
Some relationships, stuff like that. Yeah.
Just all of it.
Yeah,
just
all that I was holding
feelings.
in. Like I wanted them to know like my intentions were good, kind of thing. Like
I'm a good person.
Yeah, and, or like you're a good, and that's how I see you, and I regret this, and
when your sister said like my sister is an addict, do you think her knowing that made you feel like, okay, like she knows, like I don't need to like admit to anything because like she can see me? Like did you feel safe when she said that on the phone?
I feel like my heart kind of broke.
Yeah.
And then there was this like lifting.
Yeah, like it broke to be uplifted again. Like, sort of
because this was like between us. It's one of things like the elephant in the room things. Like we're not talking about, we're not saying we don't want to look at. And it was like, I don't know, I wasn't living a very honest life. And then all of a sudden that was where like, that was how, but I wanted to. Yeah. And that was how I felt, why I felt so tragic.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, this is the beginning. Like first it's the admitting. Yeah. You know, it's like saying it out loud. Something about, and I'd said it in the rooms because I'd been in and out of the program. But like it was something about her saying it, and, you know, that like made it, this is it kind of thing. Like, you know, little sister that I remember her being born. Yeah, I remember I crawled into her crib, you know, because I wanted to be close to her. I just wanted like, it was something about, her. It all had to happen the way it happened too.
Yeah, we were saying that earlier. Like if it happened any other way, any of our stories, like I don't want to know how it would have turned out. Everything in our lives really has happened just the way it's supposed to, and that's like why.
Lucky.
The miracle too for me is during those like 6-7 days, I mean, I had all these opportunities to go, like it was tough at that point because a lot of my using was just done alone because of the fact that I couldn't really leave once I started. It was sort of like I used to, and I'd disappear, I go here and there and this party and that after party. It got to a point where I couldn't do that all that much.
Same with me. I was a going out girl until like going out, I was like, oh, I can't wait to go home to do this by myself. You know,
leave me alone and just let me do it how I do it. And
what was your drug of choice? Like, were you an alcoholic?
It was like alcohol and cocaine. It was that like combination. You know, at one point, nearly closer to the end, if I could choose one or the other, it would be cocaine.
Okay. That's what I thought. Interesting.
Alcohol was like, if I can, you know, it's great. It's better when I have it, but mixed, like that's the thing that once I start, I can't stop. Yeah.
How did you get started with substances?
It's crazy because my father is abstinent today, and so like that whole story and our story, I guess, and like hearing from a young age the words like addict and binging, and they were icky, and so I kind of, you know, was very scared of drugs. I'll never do them. I'll never do drugs. I'll never do drugs. And they just kind of like, I don't know, entered my life in a graceful way, like disguised as like something pretty, you know. I remember girls in my sorority were like, we're gonna do Molly and like, but they
Molly's
were the
such a
nice
pretty
girls.
word,
Yeah.
Molly, it's so pretty.
They were the nice girls.
Yeah.
They were the good ones.
Yeah.
Not everyone. They were
pretty.
bad and good, but
Yeah.
they were the like more wholesome. And so when they
Yeah.
introduced it, and I'm like, oh, you do this.
Yeah.
And it was the most pure, organic kind from Montreal. And so it was just like introduced to me, and we'll be together.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe. And that was like, I at that point really loved alcohol and thought it was like a solution to, how I felt inside. But the thing with alcohol is I couldn't binge, because I could binge in a way where it was like I went out last night and then I'm going to go out tonight and the next night. But I couldn't drink into, like, my body would just be like, you're done. And I'd get sick and then have a terrible hangover and then it'd go away. And then, when I did. And so I remember drinking feeling like the solution. But when I first did Molly, it was like, no, this is like the medicine.
Because you can stay up all night, because you don't like get sick.
Yes. And I felt like all of a sudden I could share honestly how I felt.
Yeah.
And that was a problem.
Yeah.
And it was like I felt safe when I did it and good. And the more I did it, the better I felt. And I actually remember that night being at this party with the girls, and all we did was sit and talk and probably like rub our legs. We didn't drink nothing.
Just making little fires.
No, I remember in high school, me and all my friends, like probably 5 of us, were like just tripping on Molly. And we were probably just like doing that. And like I think we all made out with each other. And like I don't know what else we did, but we were up for hours and hours and hours, just like sitting in my pink room, like, this is the best thing ever.
It's very confusing when you're I have a dad who's very nervous about everything. And he taught us, like, if you drink, you could be allergic to it and then you'll die. Like, that's how we were raised. And I had a lot of fear around everything, all substances, especially drugs. Drugs were never even going to be in my horizon. I was like, that's crazy. That's for bad people.
Yeah.
It's really weird when you see people who you look up to or think are good people using or doing cocaine or doing Molly or over drinking, and you're like, wait, this is not, you're not dead, you're not,
you're okay,
you're not,
you're a good life.
no one's mad at you, you're getting up. I was a dancer in college, so you're getting up, you're going to rehearsal, you're being put in the front of things, what's going on? And it's like, wait, like in the sorority, it's like, these are good girls. This is not the demonic using caricature that I thought.
Exactly.
It's not icky, like you said. It's very confusing, and then you do it, and then you find home in yourself, and you're like, now I feel comfy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That experience sort of opened the door to the fact that I'm in Tabland now. I was in Tabland then too. Of like, I didn't know. I'm at these parties, and that most, I'd say most people were, indulging in some type of substance other than alcohol. So it was that kind of opened the door to like, oh, they're all, especially when cocaine came into the picture. It was like, wait, you do it. You do it. It's like the secret club. And I'm deeply insecure from a young age. I have this like, all I want to do is fit in and you to like me, because I never feel like anyone likes me. And that was like, well, then do this maybe, or we're part of something now. This is how people bond. And I thought that maybe the reason I feel so is because I haven't been doing this. And then combined with like doing this feels like the answer to all my problems. I want to do as much as I can. And at first it felt like the solution, because it was like, I'm able to say the things I want to say. Like, I always wanted to compliment people, but I didn't know if I'm going to sound weird or whatever. So I never said it. And probably, I don't know what other people thought, but I was worried about what other people thought. And then it let me say how I felt. And I felt like it was received well, and like
very good intention.
It's just the thing that was missing. I just need something else.
I felt that so much with alcohol. Going back to your dad, how was he sober when you like were starting all of like your drinking and using?
No, that was the thing. We definitely a period we're struggling. Well, I couldn't say at that time I thought I was struggling.
Yeah.
We were definitely using it at the same time. Relationships, really fractured really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all his relationships were.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's funny. The last time he used, he had a seizure. He would have died if he was alone. It was one of the many times I don't want to tell his story too much, but
Sure, yeah.
I think it's okay to say many times he tried to stop. My grandmother had been there for him through his whole life, through everything. He had one of those like that's it moment, and he went over to her house. Thankfully, because he gets there and he sits down. He has he's had the conversation many times with her. It's bad and I need help. And she goes, okay, I know the deal. Like, let's find a place for you. And then he collapses.
Wow.
A seizure. And so he goes to the hospital. I remember it was a Friday night. I had a corporate job at that point. I called her after work. I'd actually started already drinking and using that night. And that's what I did. When I drank and I used, I was a good granddaughter. I was a good sister. I was a good daughter. Like I was because I could show up and call people and check in. And outside of that, I was low. Yeah. And I couldn't do those things.
Yeah. Do you think you had to hide it like you said you did because you knew your dad like didn't hide it well? Like, do you think that had like a play in it at all?
Yeah. And like, I don't want you to know that like this is my kind of secret weapon that's allowing me to. Yeah. And there's definitely shame around it too. Yeah. Like I called her and she's told me what was happening. They were at the hospital. And so I went, but under the influence and also with like a lot of judgment, like, look at you here, you better get your shit together.
But then you yourself are under the influence, like on the same trajectory as him.
Not knowing that I'm headed in that direction too. Like, but, because I got this and I have my job and I live here and this is my boyfriend and look at my life and like, but I'm like very soon after. So that was it for him. That was the last.
Okay.
He went to treatment again and he's been abstinent since. It's been about just over 10 years.
Wow. Yeah. Good for him.
His life dramatically changed.
I love that.
Dramatically. Like,
do you have a good relationship with him now? Or
it's definitely the best it's been.
Wow.
But I'll say honestly, the tough thing is, and I had to have an honest conversation with him over the holidays. It was, abstinence doesn't mean emotional wellness. And there's like, I feel like when I'm with him, there's like this, even if he could be in a good mood. Yeah. I feel like there's this deep sadness and this deep like unrest inside of him. Yeah. And that comes out as like anger. Yeah. And like, rage or verbal attacks. Yeah. And that's where I'm walking on eggshells around him all the time. And
just
not to discredit.
You're sober doesn't mean like you don't have way more work to do, you know? Like,
yeah, there's no, I don't believe he has a program or goes to meetings or has any support. Therapy. So I said, basically with the help of ChatGPT, because that's tough to find the words and the words of people like women in the program I've worked with, authors who are also in recovery that I've worked with and what I've learned from their books. It's like, I can't change him, but I can help create the conditions for change by boundary setting, compassionate, loving boundary setting. And that looked like, listen, I can no longer tolerate anger, verbal attacks, and because it deeply affects me. And that was the most true thing I said. Like, it had deeply affected me for years. And so, and I said, when it happens, I'll have to leave, just so you know. And I do hope that you get some like professional support or recovery but the choice is yours. Yeah. And that was it. And he started to get into a little bit of family. And I said, family, his mother, resentment stuff. And I was like, these are the types of conversations I won't be a part of. I can't be a part of. And it just gave me a bit of confidence to know, like, I have a plan now. If this happens, I leave. I've said it. He knows. Yeah. That's what I do.
Wow.
Because I had a hard time with that before. Yeah. Before I got sober, I'd try to push back. Yeah. Yeah. I'll yell louder. Yeah. And then I'd cry and run away.
Right. Oh, that's great. Well, this is interesting now. So your dad has a collapse. And I was reading that you have this also physical / to me metaphorical collapse.
Oh yeah.
On a plane.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened there?
Oh yeah. That was after his collapse, I believe. Yeah. It definitely had to be after. Maybe even not that long now. Everything blurred together. But
Of course, yeah.
my partner, boyfriend at the time, was from Texas, lived in Toronto for the most part. Like, we lived together in Toronto, but we were both there a lot. For some reason, he was there. I was back home. I was working in a job that before, this is just the beginning. This started life to paper.
Right.
Because I had a job, got fired, got another one because my using.
Yeah.
They never like outright said it, and I kept it hidden. But it was like, okay, where are you on Friday?
Yeah.
Like,
you didn't
just don't show up on Fridays, and now
Yeah.
it's sometimes Mondays, and like, or just random other odd behavior, right?
Yeah.
Was this boyfriend in Texas a normie?
No.
Okay.
No. He's I think I'm okay to say he's one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I started dating him, I think it's not his fault in any way.
Yeah.
But that's when things kicked off for me. And that's when I feel like I can remember the day I like crossed a line and where I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd sort of go out and we'd socialize and it was fun and I'd drink and drug and then I'd go to bed. And like it was actually when he was in treatment for one of the times he was in treatment while we were together, that while he was away, that I crossed that line. Like one day night turned into the next day, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, he's in this like mental health treatment facility in the US and I'm here
and I'm partying for 48
can't
hours.
Stop and, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm just doing this because I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm upset. I'm going through a lot.
Because he's
always
gone.
a reason.
Yeah. He's going through. I'm thinking of him, poor him. These, men in white that check on him in the night. He's telling me these things. It's scary. And I'm, going through a lot. And the plane thing was, he, this is a little further down, maybe a year or so later. He's in Texas and I'm working in this job. I get fired again. And, I'm out, I'm partying, and I've planned to go down there on whatever date. So I'm hopefully like I can stop by then. I managed to stop maybe a day before I have to leave. But of course I need that whole day to recover.
Yeah.
And that whole day before I left was like in bed or ordering food. And I'm thinking at that point, like, I eat, I sleep, I'm okay after that. So I, go to the airport and get on the plane and I start feeling like trouble breathing. And it was a flight to Dallas, and Dallas switched to San Antonio. Didn't have a direct flight at that point. So I just get worse and worse and worse over that period. And like, on that flight, and this woman next to me gives me these like nausea things. Oh, you're just nauseous. This will help.
Yeah.
Nothing helps. I can't breathe. I take out the bag, walk, I think it was when I was walking up because I felt sick as well to go to the bathroom that it happened. I guess it's all kind of blurry.
You like
and
fainted?
I think I like collapsed in the bathroom.
Oh my God,
and
scary.
all I know is that like, they brought me off the plane and into an ambulance and I was on my way.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, and I remember them asking me like, are you under the influence? And I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't been in like a day.
Yeah.
But stuff was in your system.
Yeah. You're like, literally no.
But
like I can confidently say no.
Yeah, I did. I couldn't admit it. I could not admit it. Even like, in a different country, in a city I wasn't, headed toward. I'm in Dallas, not, I still couldn't admit it. And so I went to this, the hospital. He flew out to pick me up. And people were still kind of like, his family and him were kind of like, what's going on with her? What's going on with her? And, I had to admit I got fired. But even then it wasn't like I got fired because, I haven't been able to show up and it's been weird. It was like
half truths.
It's their fault and the company's new and weird and disorganized and whatever. His mom was really compassionate and kind, was like, and also I think had been through some stuff with her son, was like, she lived in Vancouver, not in Texas, and was like, why don't you come out and spend some time with me? Not with him. Leave him. Just you and me. I feel like you need some time with me. And I was like, yeah, that's nice.
Wow.
So I went there after, and I didn't know how long I was going to stay or anything, but ended up spending about a month or so there.
Wow.
And she recommended that I meet with, this man who was her brother. But she said, if you're okay with it, he's really special. He's really good at what he does. And I came to learn he's like a psychotherapist.
Okay.
She said, you can see him, as much as you can, and he can,
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And I thought, I'd been to therapy once before. I sort of thought he was going to, talk to me about my mom issues or my daddy issues, or he didn't want to talk about any of that.
Yeah.
He wanted to I don't know, he dug into me, started peeling back. I don't know. He started helping me get in touch with me.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was because he told me things like, go to the market after this and walk around. If you smell something that smells good, buy it and eat it. I was like, it was so foreign to me at that point. I was
kind of teach yourself little things you like.
I ate what you ate or he ate. I listened to the music he liked.
You didn't know what you liked.
I lost kind of touch with all that.
Yeah.
So I started that, and I picked up a paint set and painted, and was writing. And then he got me talking about this project that I had on the side, which was writing my grandmother's life story.
Yes.
And I was like, why do you want to talk about this? It's just a thing. And he goes, no, lean in. Lean in. And I'm like, we started talking. It was so gentle and and I guess he noticed and allowed me to notice that when I talked about it, it was different than when I talked about getting another job.
Yeah.
And, in
were
this
excited.
field and capital markets and making it pushing.
Right.
It was very, maybe more like Tabland.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what you needed.
And then I thought about it, and I thought about I could honestly say in my life, because I looked at how life had got at that point, and was like, when I do this, I feel good. When I do this, I don't think about anything else. I don't think about being anywhere else, doing anything else. I'm very present. It was the only thing I had. And so what does this look like? Well, I do this for other people. I sit with them. Yeah, that's kind of nice. What do I call it? So that started Life to Paper. And then when I left Vancouver, it was like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. And we start a business, you're like, oh, what about a website? The Life to Paper name came about. I wrote pen to paper, and then I wrote Life to Paper. I'm like, okay. And then I looked, .com was available. I'm like, cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that, I found it all very rewarding to kind of, it was creative and let's start learning about it. Cause shit, I really don't have any experience besides what I've been doing with her.
Right.
So I started looking up life story writing and finding different YouTube videos and books and
just for the timeline, this month that you're with your boyfriend's mom.
Yeah.
Are you sober this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the first time that you've been sober for that long?
You know what? Yeah, it might have been because it might have been the longest period, because I think before that I had 30 days and relapsed on that day. Yeah. So with her, I was there over a month. Yeah. So I'm getting a little bit more time and I'm feeling good. And I'm also I think, I need to be abstinent. But then that was in the fall of 2015. Okay. And basically, the timeline now from the fall of 2015 until January 7th, 2019 was just a series of in and outs. Yeah. And sometimes it was, in, out, quickly back in. Yeah. And sometimes it was in, out for a while, back in. Nah. So, yeah.
So when was the last time you drank or used?
It ended the evening of January 6th, 2019.
And that was New Year's.
The New Year's that ended 6-7 days later. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that time, are you writing? Have you started Life to Paper? You're writing your grandmother's story.
Yeah, I'm getting clients.
You're getting clients. Okay.
That therapist, that magical mentor that led me to Life to Paper, hires me to write his book.
Oh, cool.
He's like, look, this is kind of strange because I want to do this. And the man who was going to do this with me passed away. And he positioned it as like, he told me all about this man, Lee. I'll never forget. And it just sounded like what Lee did was so beautiful and like, wow. And he said, will you take a piece of his torch and like carry it, you know, continue that? It was like, well, yeah, like this is beautiful. And then he said, I don't know what this looks like. We switch hats a lot because sometimes I'm the uncle and sometimes I'm the therapist and now I'd be the client. Can we do this? What does this look like? I was like, I'd like to. Yeah. So he was my first, referred me to my second. So I started getting busier, but I'm still meeting with him virtually as a therapist.
Okay.
And that's when I decided to take off to Miami. And, you know, I need some space from this relationship because I do want to get well. Yeah. And now I have this purpose, I feel, in this business, and I'm not sure about him. And it's been 6 years and like, you know, I need something else somewhere else.
Right. Because your boyfriend was still in active addiction.
Yeah. He's like in and out, but never really in that time together, maybe after, because we you know, it was about 10 years since we broke up. Almost like, you know, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, I'm not sure.
But at that time you didn't need a relationship like that. You needed to focus on your business.
I didn't believe like we could get well together. And
that's
now I kind of wanted
to.
Like it wasn't the goal before for me, but now it was like, you know, I don't know. We've been doing this dance, and I don't think I can do this.
Well,
this
because
dance
now
anymore.
you had something of yours, this project of yours that you didn't want to lose.
Yeah,
and you had to get sober for it.
The thing about the business, what it looked like then, when it was just me writing people's life stories, was that I spend a bunch of time with them. Very intimate time. I get to know them really well. I maybe go to their house. Maybe we go on a trip and we visit places where things happened. And then they're kind of like, okay, see you when I see you. And I disappear for a few months to write. And maybe I check in with an email here and there, but that created the perfect conditions for me to hide. Right. Now I'm in a new city in Miami. You know, I've got, you know, some accountability with clients, but for the most part, you know, I've got I don't need to show up and people check in with me every day. Yeah. I can go, oh, she's creative, she's writing. Yeah. And that allowed me to fall back into, you know, some pretty destructive patterns. So it was like living alone for the first time and I mean, maybe ever. Yeah. And also, so it was tough.
Life to Paper your focus is in mental health, recovery, wellness, kind of coming of age stories. Yeah. At the time when you started it and you're still in and out of sobriety, is that what Life to Paper was?
Not exactly. Okay. No, that kind of like evolved into that. Okay. No, it was really, you know, I thought I was going to be working with old people you know, at the end of their life when they're ready to like put their legacy to paper and their stories to paper. But then it started to kind of change where I started getting younger people and I want to write this kind of book or that kind of book. And then I had someone approach me who he told me his story and I said, amazing, I want to write it. He was terminally ill at the time. He had been sexually abused when he was a child by an older child, like a teenager when he was, and he never told anyone about it. He'd packed it away. His parents had basically, you know, it said, we are packing this away, burning all your photos, moving cities. And then he was now, you know, staring, you know, death in the face and was like finally told his wife for the first time and then decided I should write this and maybe help some people. And so he told me this, but he hadn't told me he'd written it. So then he said, well, I'll send you the manuscript. I'm like, well, I do this. So what do you need me for? And he was like, well, I need to get it out into the world. Like it's now just writing on pages. I was like, oh, I don't do that. And he's like, I think you can figure it out. I was like, okay. Yeah. And he was like, you know, executive coach in his career. So it was very like inspiring and like, you got this and we'll do this together and like a partnership. I'm like, okay. It was the same with starting Life to Paper. I was like, the next steps kind of felt right. Yeah. So I did that. And then I was like, I guess I publish now too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So then it was like, okay, I help people write and publish books.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really what it was for the first few years. Most people that came through Life to Paper needed help writing it.
Yeah.
And then also help getting out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me figure out, like, I tried everything around that, writing and publishing and marketing, and then started to kind of hone in on like what things I wanted to do specifically and what things I ought to be doing.
Yeah.
And then I would say I started, you know, it's just an evolution. I found, you know, we started publishing fiction and poetry and other genres, but like the ones that I felt like I did them I did my best work were like not the stories that fell under those categories of like naturally recovery
for sure.
and mental health addiction, trauma, abuse. Like I want to bring the tough stuff, those tough stories, like the ones that like, you know, someone called it fringe recently. He's like, yeah, you do the fringe stuff.
Interesting.
Because we were talking about one of our more recent publications about the founder of CEO of Sleep Country who fell into crack addiction when he was building Sleep Country.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, like hearing a lot about the story, like you do like the fringe stuff. I'm like, I don't call it fringe.
Yeah.
But like,
were you always like a reader, like growing up? Like, did you like that growing up, or is this
writing?
Something?
Yeah. But I was like, that was my zone.
Yeah.
Like writing, creating.
Yeah.
If I got a book report, I'd like, you know, most people would hand in like stapled pages.
Yeah.
I'd hand in a book for my book report. I'd make it into a book.
A book for a book
Oh my
report.
God.
Like I designed the
Heather could
cover.
never.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't have handed it in at all. Like those are not my options.
But there's a definite point where I like started to just like, okay, like I knew myself. I was very connected with myself. And then I started to like, I think the message was like, being me isn't okay.
Yeah.
I've got to create another version of me that the world people like better because I don't think people like this.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering, through all of this, what I'm seeing is like you have a confidence in yourself or a trust for yourself or the universe. You're down bad, you're in and out of sobriety, but you lose your job and someone says you should do this and you're like, well, maybe I can do this, and you go with it.
Yeah.
And then it's I don't publish, I just help people write. No, you could do it. Oh, okay, I guess I can. What is that? Have you always had like a sense of self-worth, self-trust? Because this is like you've said you didn't have a background in this. You were capital markets. You didn't go to school for journalism or writing.
Yeah, no.
So what is that's allowing you to trust yourself?
It's interesting because like I encounter this with authors sometimes, like first time authors is one I'm working with right now. And I just keep like she has these instincts that I'm finding like she doesn't trust. I mean, you read her story, she's survived a cult. It's a wild story. It's so good. I love her so much. But it's like I'm there now as her publisher and supporting her. She's developing the book to like validate her instincts because they're just like, right. And I needed that too. I feel like I had these instincts, but I didn't know. And I doubted myself constantly. And especially not having a background, you're like, I know nothing.
Yeah.
But then I'm having these kind of mentors and people come in my life and say like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right about this. You're on the right track. Like these little shoulder taps, like, yep, keep going. That's the way.
Something about that in sobriety. We talk about this all the time. There's if you follow good intentions and you just go with the universe. It's like, just if it's scary, just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Trust it.
Sobriety gives you a lot of weird signs from the universe. I think that you said this last week that we're like able to see now because we're sober. I want to know a little bit about your grandmother because this is the first the first book that you helped write.
Yeah.
Was this your dad's mom?
This is I should be clear about the dad thing. I have a father, biological father, and yes, it's his mom.
Okay.
But I have a another dad,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
a stepfather,
Stepfather,
that I call dad.
Yeah.
And he's been in my life since I was 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, my biological father is, you know, the one who struggled
Yes.
as well, and
Yeah.
it was his mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I was separated from, you know, both of them in that family from age 5 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big absence.
Okay.
And so yeah, you know, 14, he's back in my life, and she is too. She becomes a really big part of my life.
Well,
and
she seems incredible.
She's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a little feisty thing.
Yeah.
She's like under 5 feet, and like, man, yeah, she's a tough little lady.
Mm.
And did she come to you, or did you come to her with an idea of a book, or what was
She
the
started
reason?
like talking about, like, I guess I was the first. I'm her only granddaughter. And yeah, so my sister is my half sister, and I have a brother, is a half brother as well. But we only say that to like clarify for other people.
Yeah.
But so, you know, I'm the first like granddaughter in her life, and she doesn't have a daughter. So she opens up to me a little bit more. She tells me a bit more of her story. I mean, they know she's a Hungarian refugee, and they know that what was going on at the time. They know the historical account, but they don't know like the personal account, because they're I don't know, they're not the type to do a lot of
I've never understood
listening.
that. It's like I ask my mom things sometimes. I'm like, oh, well, why didn't your aunt get married? Was she gay? Was she, what was it? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, ask.
Yeah.
How is not everyone?
What was going on?
I know, we walk into a room and we're like, what's your trauma? What happened? How's your dad? How much money does he make? Like, it's just like how the like not asking, having someone in your family. It's like, thank God you were there to pull it out. You know?
I think she felt safe to share, and so she started sharing, and then she mentioned she just mentioned like, one day I'm gonna hire a ghostwriter to write my, and she mentioned it a couple times, and one time I think we were in the car and she said that, and I don't know why I said, I'll do it, don't hire someone.
How
I
old
don't
were
know
you?
why. It was probably about 24, 25. Around that time, I think, maybe 26. It was sort of, it's kind of blurry. It was like, you know, my sort of investor relations on my way capital markets career was just starting. I had this job. Yeah. And then, you know, when she said that, part of me was like, I don't know why I said I'll do it. I mean,
It's interesting.
one of my, I don't want to call it a regret because I think it's happening in the time, but I haven't published that book.
Okay.
One of the reasons is, you know, it did change shape, let's say. Like it was, it started out as, it was, you know, like I write for other people, I started writing for other people. It was their voice, their story, their voice completely. I'm the ghost, I'm the method writer, being that, putting, you know, bringing them onto the page and their voice onto the page. With her, that's how we started doing it. But then, I mean, life happens and I'm telling the story like I am to you two, and people are like, I want to hear more of that story of you and her. So then I present to her, you know, what if the book is more so about the journey of me coming to write it and with you, and that's how we pull your voice into it, because you're, you know, we're the main characters. And she's like, yeah, I like that, because the other thing about, and I noticed with some people, there's some people that are like open books and you start talking to them and they just pour everything out. And there are others that they're just like, she has a tough time sharing the emotional side of it. She does lean more into the facts.
Okay.
She shared very little of like how I felt, you know, when this happened, I was
that
scared.
generation, you know.
It's just, and I can't push her, you know. I tried and I found myself like, and I don't like to do this, like fictionalizing a little too much. And I'm like, this isn't honest. But I think, so I guess I've done a little beta testing in terms of what, you know, people are like, yeah, that's the one. So I also got busy, but it's important to me. And the way the flow is of things now, I'm, you know, getting to a period of where I have more time for my own projects. Thankfully. So that one's on the like agenda as a priority too.
Amazing.
Is your grandmother still around?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's 83.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's great. Yeah.
Okay.
We talk a lot. We see each other a lot. She's like an anchor.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I got to get this done for her. You know, this is, and part of it is also the like, well, it's her and it has to be perfect. It has to be, now I have this like, you know, put other books out. It's got to be the best one.
Right.
No control over that though. I always
Right.
say, like, there's no crystal ball.
No, nothing's going to be perfect.
You put a book into the world and you could do all the things and like you don't know how the market's going to react, or like it's gonna, you could do your best to take the right action, but there's no, you know, magic formula or anything.
It's always interesting to me when like you're doing all this work and it's like there is something that's taking longer, and it's like there's a why, you know, there's a reason that it's taking longer, and it's, you know, you want to do this for her, and that'll shift, or like but first of all, I'm so excited to read it when it does come out.
Thank you. I love you guys are, I mean, readers, right?
Like, try to be.
Yeah.
So he's making coffee now. I'm trying to read a book.
I read a lot in rehab, and I read a lot when I was like trying to get sober, like before going to rehab, like probably a couple years before I actually went to rehab. I was like trying to like control my alcohol, you know? And I was like reading like self-help books or like a lot of books about like depression, because I thought I was just depressed and that's why I needed alcohol. And
maybe both.
And gotta be some sort of reason that, you know, I can
I'm
keep
not
drinking.
an alcoholic. Like, I just need this for my depression. And then I read a lot in rehab, but now I haven't read in a little bit, to be honest. So I do need to bring that back, because it is interesting how like I leaned on it to get sober, and now I haven't leaned on it as much. But
give yourself time. I mean, I'm sure you know this, and I'm sure you're able to say this to the authors you work with, but it's like that's the book you started with, and like that's the one they're also precious, but this is like precious in a different way, and so it needs time. Like you needed time to get sober, you needed time, you know, she needed time to be able to come back into your life to be able to do this. It's like the time is clearly quite necessary for this, right?
And I have to trust that, like, you know, the company continues to evolve, like I do too, and like I grow and I learn more, and I think it'll happen, I hope, at a point where, like, you know, I've learned all what I need to learn for this one.
Yeah. Sometimes that just takes more time. There's more to learn. It's a big one. Let's talk about the method. You call it method ghostwriting, writing?
Method writing.
So vicarious trauma is where I'm going with this. And we've talked about this, how we were chatting about you before you arrived, that some of what you talk about we kind of liken to, or Zoe likened to a sponsor in AA.
Like you were saying how your relationships with the people you write for, like it's a sacred relationship. And when I heard you say that, I was like, oh, that's like how sponsorship is, you know, like no one will ever have that relationship except for the sponsor. And I feel like that's very similar to your approach on writing.
It is.
Is that because of the program, you think, or it just happens that way?
It just kind of happened, and then I started noticing like the common ground between, you know, the tool, like the steps and the you know, what I do, and I guess my goal was like always to get people to this like right-sized account, and like create a safe space where, you know, they could see things like from all. And sometimes you get like, and I still get people that approach me, and it's tough because my process can bring them to that. To a certain extent. Sometimes just they need more.
For sure.
To get to the point where like, I think the right-sized account is like you know, they also see their part in things. And it's tough when it's tough stuff, and you get people coming to you and they're just like, they did this and they did this and they did this and everyone has to know. And I'm like,
but that's not how a book can be, you know.
Your reader will get
full circle,
and your reader will get so frustrated with you too.
Right.
So getting them to understand that and start to kind of see it from the reader perspective, but you can't force anyone's healing. That's where I find my work interesting, because sometimes really I hit a wall where I'm not a therapist or a counselor. And I realized I don't have the tools to get them, but I want to.
Yeah.
And if they could, then this book would be so much better.
Right. It's interesting with like, that's the same as like when you want someone to get sober. Like you're trying everything and you can.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they're not going to do it unless they do the work. Yeah. And you're not going to get a book done unless they do the work too.
Yeah.
And I guess you can give little like, and I don't have a sponsor, but I guess you can give little encouragements or advice, but not telling someone what to do. But yeah, it must be so interesting because we do this in sobriety where it's like, I see what's wrong with you. Yeah, like you just said, I see it, change that. And then
just do that.
Yeah, or even not sobriety. It could be like one of our friends has a boyfriend and that boyfriend sucks. Yeah. And it's like, girl, like just like we can see it. Everyone around you can see it. I mean, I've been that girl too, you know. And but it is interesting. And you're trying to write the book, and it's like I just want you to like I want to write it this way. Get there. Yeah, it's like the point of the book is beyond you, and it's but also it's your book, so it's so personal. Yeah. Are you able to leave your work at work? Or do you find you take in people's shit?
So I should say that my ghostwriting, like method writing, I don't do as much of anymore. Okay. I think we were talking about this at coffee. I think I admitted to you for the first time. I don't feel like I'm as good at it as I used to be, but that could be completely wrong as well because I did not like myself. So get me out of me in any way I can. Escape drugs, alcohol, being inside your mind, immersed inside your thoughts and mind and feelings.
Distract from me.
And then I get sober and like at first I can do it and then I start to feel like and I start to feel a bit more sensitive to like it can be heavy to take on for sure. And when people are sharing. And I'm like, oh gosh, I used to pack my day with like 3 of these sessions and now I can only do 1 and then I need a rest.
Yeah, because you're finally putting yourself first, right?
I'm like, I'm bad at this now. I'm not bad. I just like can't do it the way I used to.
Which is so fair because
I can do one at a time. I used to, because that was the business, like 3 at a time, 4 at a time.
But you were drinking during that, right?
Yeah.
So I'd imagine there's like a numbing that comes with using. Yeah. And sometimes you're really able to hyper focus when you're using, and it is like you're saying, it's a distraction from yourself. Yeah. And now there isn't that numbing. And that's a scary place to be because you're like, when I get sober, everything is supposed to get easier. I'm supposed to be better at everything I do. And you're feeling this like, I'm not there.
I'm a fraud.
Right.
I can't do this. And I'm telling people I can. And what happens when I just had to learn to do it a different way. Yeah. And then the publishing side, because it started taking off. So then, and it is great. I'm attracting, as much as I love the sitting with someone, taking in their story and writing it, or I'm attracting actually really good writers.
Yeah. Right.
So that becomes like our publishing program. Yeah. And then it becomes for those who, have taken it as far as they can or like just don't feel they can for various reasons, put it to paper. Then we can step in and help. But that's not most of what we do. That's there if you need it.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be, the conditions have to be like, we believe in the potential of the story. There's a book plan around it. It just needs, and like other publishing houses have ghostwriters too, or hire ghostwriters all the time.
Well, you've also grown so much since you started with your grandmother. So
that's what I was thinking too. Like, of course, it's gonna evolve and change.
And your role in the whole thing changes. Yeah. And it's probably. Like, I'm sitting here being like, there's no way that you get sober and then you're worse at something. It's just the way your brain is working, or your brain is now allowing you to feel more or see more. Yeah. And so it's not as easy to just turn it off and take on someone's story.
For sure.
It's a lot.
It started to become tough. I started to struggle because I was trying to balance, trying to do everything my first, end of my first year, second year, third year. Tabitha's looking to fill. I still have got this void. I haven't filled it with what the program's telling me to fill it with, which is God. Don't really know how to do that. Sounds great. You guys seem to get it, but I don't know. But I start to fill it with achievements and being busy with work and
Being
more and more
useful.
and more. So in 2021, it's like, not to mention like the publishing business kind of changes and I get really busy with that. Then I add a foundation, a bookshop, and a book festival in the same year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's not enough. And I'm just trying to throw things at this like more.
Wow.
And the overwhelm starts and like the some of the old behaviors come back, which I think is important too. It started to my life got unmanageable in sobriety.
Yeah.
At many points.
Because you took on too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I used to lie, cheat, and steal. I'm lying, cheating, and stealing, but it looks different.
Yeah.
So I'm not even aware that I'm doing it because it doesn't look like, you know,
Yeah.
I used to cheat on boyfriends and steal money. And now it's like I'm doing those things, but they look different.
Yeah.
But damn, that's the same behavior and the same root.
Yeah.
And it kind of happened. And then I had this like, oh my God, like, and I'm not drinking or using.
Did you feel like you were going to? And was that the thing that was scary?
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm like with this and I can't, it's with me.
Yeah.
And
It's like addict behaviors. It's like we call it like dry drunks or like relapse behavior where you're sober. So I'm not like, those aren't my behaviors anymore.
But they are.
Yeah, and addiction's so sneaky. It's like trying to find another way to get in. And when you start to burn out or get stressed, it's like, gotcha, bitch. You know?
And the thing is, if you looked, most people would be like, well, that's like Miss AA. She goes to a meeting or two every day and she hosts all these people in the program for dinner every Sunday night. Like, she's thriving. But no.
Looking the part, not doing the work.
Yeah. So you can like fully be showing up to meetings, but you know, the shit in my life, I don't know how else to say it. The shit in my life that I brought into the program, I like told on myself. I asked for help, you know, this situation, what do I do? I got the guidance, everything worked itself out, but I left a lot outside because I started feeling shame around things. So I'm like, no, because people think this way of me. And if I tell them I've been doing this, they're going to be like, oh, but I thought you were such a nice girl. Yeah. And so the stuff I left outside remained a shit show. Like, didn't really work itself out in a peaceful way and create a lot of chaos.
Were you telling anyone that stuff, like your sponsor or anyone?
No, there was just stuff that I left. I'm like, I'll deal with this. I'll deal with this. Okay. And then there were other stuff that I'm like, felt okay to share about. And that worked itself out. And the other stuff didn't. But I was able to see that. I'm like, damn. Okay. So I got to get honest with somebody. Like I did when I got sober, you know, a few years ago. So I was like, I got to go through the steps again, the 12 steps, right? Because I think I
didn't carry everything in the first time.
Yeah. And new stuff came up that I felt I had to like lay it all out with somebody. It's like they say, clean house, trust God. I needed to do some house cleaning again. Yeah. Some scrubbing.
It's a really good point, actually, because there are things in my first year of sobriety, and I was a very delicate little person. My first year of sobriety, I didn't do anything. Like, I met Zoe, and then we started going outside.
I brought her outside.
She took me outside.
Yeah, she just stayed in this house for a year.
I did. I pretty much did. I was terrified. I'd go get my skin done, and then I'd come home. But, like, I moving into this life where, like, now I go to dinner. Now I go out. Now I have friends. Started a podcast. It's like there are things I know from rehab that I was implementing year one, but I wasn't doing anything. Yeah. And so now I do, and I've been feeling this recently, like I have to go through my binder because you said something before that really got me where you were, I think it was maybe the antidepressants where you were like living kind of above things. I'm doing that and I'm mad at people. Like yesterday, we're talking about, did you watch Heated Rivalry?
No.
Okay.
Dude, you have to watch it.
Hearing a lot about that.
Very sexy. But we were talking about it and I was getting so mad about hockey. Like just about the industry, all that. And I'm like, okay. And then I texted Zoe later being like, I saw something on the news recently with ice that's just, I'm getting really fucked up in my brain and I'm angry at men. And so I don't give a shit about their love stories. But I'm like, okay, what am I mad at? Where, like, I'm outside my window of tolerance for no reason. And so I'm like, I need to, same with what you just said, it's like, redoing the steps because your life looks so different now, right? Like, there's no that person first year of sobriety for me is not the same.
No.
So I'm like, I do have to, you know, you move on, you grow, you move forward, but you have to remember those things or you'll leave them and then relapse behavior, you go crazy.
It was the same way, it like similar to when I was using, where, you know, I tried very hard to maintain this like look, you know, from the outside of like this life that was growing and getting better. But this side of my, the secret part of my life, you know, was like a shit show. Yeah. So now I'm like, well, that's kind of happening again. Because people, you first meet me, oh my God, look what you're doing. And you started this and amazing and blah, blah, blah. But then there's this like messy stuff and the, you know, the dishonesty. And it looked like I took on, my sponsor helped me see and write out and list out and start to see that I took on an overcommitted beyond. Yeah. Like I'd be telling someone in a meeting, in a Zoom call, oh, instead of saying, you know, you should do this and here's some guidance, you should do this, I'll do it for you, I'll get it back to you in an hour. Well, that's next, not your responsibility. I have a meeting after this, so unless I'm doing this for you, and then I just kind of like, oh, I can't get this done, I'm overwhelmed, and they're sitting there being like, where's this thing you told me? And then they're mad, and I'm mad because they're mad. Why are you expecting this of me? This isn't even in our contract. Or like, you know, working on something and like, I need more time, and they're like, well, I wanted it, and I'm like, you know, I need more time. You know, I've taken on too much. I can be honest about it, but what I inside, you know, I've taken on too much. I can't get this in the time that I told you I would. So she helped me like put this on paper and see that and be like, I'm not being honest. You know, every time I commit to something, that every time I don't take the time to think through carefully how long this is going to take. And so she gave me the tools because I didn't have them. It was like, you pause and you tell them you'll get back to them on when you can. I was like, whoa. I kind of like, can I write this down? And so I started using that. Can you give me some time and I will get back to you on that? And it started being my new thing instead of, I'll do this. And because I want you to like me and validate me and be like, you're incredible. You're the best. Look how fast you can do this. I got this opportunity to like work with the Wolf of Wall Street to help him with his like book. It was actually the last book, but this is what happened. So I get this like dream opportunity.
No, but they do that in the movie where they all like chant. It's too much.
So I'm like, this is a dream come true. This is part of my like, my life's like, I'm a rock star, you know? So go meet him. And of course things happen really fast. Go meet him tomorrow at this place, hotel, whatever. Meet him, tells me, runs through what we're gonna do, and like probably thinks like, okay, I've given her the scope. She'll come back to me in 2 weeks, blah blah blah. I pull an all-nighter.
Oh my goodness.
Write the entire book plan.
Holy shit.
Design like, this is what your cover could look like. Beyond. And then I'm like, I'm done. Can I come? You know, can we meet? I mean, and that was what it looked like. Like I'm just like, because I want this guy
now. You want the validation now
to be
like,
you
don't have
you're
the drugs.
A rock star, and also a little part of my like work hard, play hard. Like that's what I think I need to do from my old life in sort of finance was like, he's going to accept me, and you know, if I am that person instead of who Tabitha was shaping into, you know, today, and you know I don't know what he must have thought, but like I helped him, you know, along the way toward the, you know, what he needed to submit, I think, to the publisher to get like a book plan solid. And then funny enough, he ghosted me. I don't feel bad saying this because I've thought about it a while. I don't hold any resentment, but this, like, I'm very clear on the way it went. It was like a handshake thing. Like, listen, I'll take care of you. And like, look me in the eye and kind of thing. And they do some work and then ghost.
Then gone.
I was like, damn.
I mean, I'm sure that happens a lot in the business. Like, does that happen a lot?
No, I've been ghosted. The ghost has been ghosted, and this is the thing. Ghostwriters talk about this. The ghost gets ghosted.
Yeah,
and for a writer, it's like the worst thing because you're like, oh, you hated it.
Yeah,
because every time I submit something, I'm like, they're gonna hate it, and I throw up, and like I go through all the things. These stage actors do this too. A lot of them like get sick and then go on stage, and no matter how many years they do it, it still happens.
Yeah.
It's always a thing when you're submitting something. You're like, it's not as bad as it was before, but. I've been ghosted. A lot of the time I think it has more to do with like family dynamics, and a family kind of, this is going back years, like hires me to do something, and then I don't know what goes on between the adult siblings and and why I'm not hearing back from them, and like for whatever reason. But it's definitely happened before, like in the middle, I would say the middle of a project where you're kind of like, oh, we're supposed to, you're supposed to give me feedback, and you're supposed to give me, answer this question I had on this part. And whether it's like someone passes it to one person who then, I don't want to do this, you do it. Yeah. I have to remember, it's not easy for people to like get through a book as well.
Right. And I'm assuming especially for people whose stories are about recovery or about their life. Like, I mean, his name is Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street. He's a dick. And like that's clear, and like he knows that, and like he's also an addict, and like
we talked about
pushing and so first of all, it's surprising to me that he came to you in the first place, because I would imagine he would just go to a man.
Like, well, I was recommended by a friend of his who's a film director who I met. And I guess like they had a good relationship, and knew he kind of needs some help, and was like, oh, I just met this woman at this Shabbos dinner last night, like you got to talk to her. Boom boom boom. And I was meeting him, and
well, I imagine too, if we're talking about doing the work on ourselves, it's like he also seems like a person who is like push go, bigger, better, always like, what's the next thing? Oh, she's doing this, okay, and then we'll go to, like, it's just fast, and it's not there's not a lot of consideration.
And I think now what I value the most is like the people I work with, there's like, it's so collaborative, and like I don't feel like I'm an authority, or they're the boss, or I'm there, like we're just coming together to create something. And looking back, like if I were to be introduced to him today, or someone with similar personality, I'd probably say, I think there's someone better to help you. I could do that today. But then I could not. No way. No, because this is going to be a big gold star on my like, and I get to say that I did this with this guy, and people get to be like, whoa. And I can,
After going through the steps, have you seen a change in the way that you conduct your life? Like after, do you feel calmer?
Yeah. And there's something I'm like, I think I have we celebrate medallions, as you know, like in the program, and mine is that on Tuesday at Westmoreland. You're both invited. You're so welcome to come. And I thought about like these medallions, because now I've had a few. Like, I can show up to my medallion meeting and look happy, joyous, free, like that's the energy, but that's not the gift. The gift is like when there is conflict in my life, because there is always going to be conflict, it's how I'm showing up, especially in my relationship. Like it's night and day. It's so different.
When did you meet your partner? Today.
Oh, we have kind of a cool story.
Okay.
We met like it must have been like I was still out. I wasn't sober. Like I didn't have long-term sobriety. I was living in Miami. I came back here, as I always did, back and forth. And I was taking the subway downtown for some reason. It was at Young and Egg, like it was shut down, so I had to get off or something.
The damn subway.
And then be like, well, how do I get downtown? And then this
Shuttle
voice called out like, oh, hey, what direction are you going? And I was like, downtown. And it was like, do you want to I grabbed a cab, do you want to share? So I get in with him, and we started talk. And I remember being like, he's so nice. Like I felt a pull toward him, but like I was sort of like, I want to know him. I feel like I kind of do, but like I wouldn't have had the courage then to be like, hey, maybe we'll go for, I mean, I didn't go for coffee with people also then. I went for like drinks and then I took off.
Yeah.
And so I just went about my life. But I remember the feeling, and I remember afterwards sort of doing a little social media like, and then couldn't find him. And then like went to LinkedIn and was like, I think this is him, but it also could be like a really old man. There's no picture, blah, blah, but it's the right industry. So I believe I like added him, but it was just like went on with my life. And then a year and a half ago around, I was like sort of newly single, a couple months or something like that. Yeah, newly single. And my sister's like, you have to get out there.
Yeah.
And I'm making a dating app profile for you. I'm like, I don't think I can handle an app. No.
Yeah.
And
She's
like,
your spirit guide.
She is.
She's like,
she's so
She's special. Yeah.
She's so special. So she did this, made up this Hinge profile, and I was like, I don't know if I can handle this, and looked a little bit. I'm like, I can't do this. And anyways, a message came through, not that day, but not long after. It was like, hey, we met 7.5 years ago, because it was then at the time, and it was like in a cab, and this is what we talked about, and we both knew this person, and I was like,
that is crazy.
Him.
That's
oh my God. So
wow.
we made plans to like meet at the dog park, and that was so funny because my sister was like, Tab, you're gonna meet someone like at a dog park.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Before that,
the dog park is magic.
Dog park. So we went, and I was like, so, because I set my expectations of like, oh my God, this guy. And I remember I felt something, and what's it gonna be like? We didn't talk a whole lot. We just kind of like sipped coffee and watched the dogs, and then said goodbye. And then he was like, would you like to go to dinner? And it was like, yeah, like there's something, but like that wasn't like fireworks date. It was just okay. And so I agreed to go to dinner, and there was like dinner that we like, first of all, I sat down and like looked at the mocktail list and ordered one, and he said all the same thing, and I said, no, have a drink if you want. I just don't drink. And he said, I haven't had a drink in over 10 years. And I was like, you have more time than me.
Wow.
But then I was also like,
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Is he
so
sober for fun, or is he
just stopped one day?
Wow.
Or like
one of those.
pretty much, or like maybe during a couple, like, but just
drank a little bit too much one time, and then it was like, oh, okay,
I don't feel good when I
Yeah.
drink. Hangovers are now lasting like a couple days, even if I only have a glass or two. And like, he just recognizes like, I've seen the pattern in people around me, family kind of thing, and I don't. And just that's it. So it's not part of the equation for us.
Did you ever think that you wanted to date a sober person, like being sober?
It wasn't like I need to. I had it actually. I was very like, I'm not dating anyone in the program.
I've only made out with one person in the program.
I broke that rule once.
Okay. You did date in the program.
And that was the time of trying to fill this hole with things.
Right.
And
that
like
makes sense.
literally
I'll
and
allow it.
figuratively.
And it was like I had this rule, and then this was in Miami, someone walked in the room, and I was like, oh, never mind. And I you know what, looking, I know like I used him. I used him like at the time I was using work and using Netflix and using food and using you know, all these other things. He was another thing that I used to make myself like feel better. And naturally it didn't work out, but luckily I had people in the program when like, you know, I positioned it as a kind of for fun, which I'd never done before. And then I don't really do for fun. So then I'm like, basically like, here's your drawer and pajamas I bought you. And he's like, what? And I'm like, what do you mean?
No,
like, this
literally.
is great. Look at our life. And like, you could live here. And he's kind of like, back away slowly. And I'm just like, and I recognized it. And so I asked for help with other women in the program. Like, what do I do? And my friend Chloe's like, you sit him down and you say, coffee. When you did this, it made me feel, and therefore I've realized, I'm like, okay, let me write this down. So I did it. Because I didn't know. I didn't have the tools. And that's why I say a lot of people in recovery, the things I brought into the program, it worked itself out. So I did. I had that conversation. When you did this, it made me feel, and therefore I realized. And he goes, I know. And it's okay. And, you know, admitted, he said, like, I'm in another fellowship in SA. SAA.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of just back in it now and starting out again. And I guess implied relapse or whatever. So, you know, I've got some things to work out, but so, you know, like if I was in a good place, it would be, this would be like the most ideal kind of thing. It's like, yeah, okay. But I handled it okay. I left it not having to make an amends, learn some things about myself.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that was my one time.
Yeah, Zoe always tells me when I go on dates, go on multiple dates with multiple people and don't share all my life stories right away.
It's hard.
Because
She's never taken my advice.
Well, I try. I really do try. And then I just don't know what's going on. But every time I meet someone, I'm like, oh no, I love them. They're going to be mine forever. It's very intense, but I'm doing my best.
Do you find
All doing
too,
your best.
and with men specifically, probably both of you, that you, because they don't, like you both created Today together, like such a place to feel safe and share, and like men don't find that as often. So when they do, they also get this like, they feel like you're it, because they experience something like they haven't before.
Oh yeah.
I
This,
think even just like sharing that we're sober to men, I think that even in itself opens up a lot of like vulnerability for men, because I immediately say I'm sober, I'm a crazy person, and they're like, oh, like I can like offer something else then to you too, in exchange of you being vulnerable and telling me that.
I've had so many conversations with men who have never had a mental health conversation before, and it's very obvious, and I'm like, whoa, here we go. Like it's just all of their information, and I'm like, I know you're gay. Everyone's gay. Everyone's a little bit gay. But it's
heated rivalry.
Heated rivalry.
I told you about the time, I think I told you this, where I like, you know, it was a friend of a friend, so we're kind of friends, and then we had a little maybe crush on each other's let's see, but we live in different cities, so we're talking on the phone, we're doing that thing, and like he asked me, what's the hardest thing you've ever been through? So I proceed to tell him some of what I told you guys today about, and then I was sober at the time, like maybe 2 years or something. So and then so I don't know how long I spoke for him, maybe 30-40 minutes, and then I was like, so what about you? And he's like, well, I had to get my helicopter pilot license, and like I had to do it in like 2 weeks, and it was really hard.
No, totally. That's the same.
No.
And that's when we were like, we didn't say it out loud, but it was understood. It was like, friends.
Yes.
Friends.
This is, we are on different pages. Like,
for sure.
no.
Friends.
Yeah. I feel I'd be like, before you go, tell me about your relationship with your dad, but also we can't do this. It would be, I think, 2026. We've been talking about new things we want to put energy towards, and since you're here, it would be crazy to not ask for your book recommendations.
Oh gosh,
because I for sure want to read. Do you have any?
Do you want to know what's coming out for us
Yes.
that I'm excited about?
Yes, I
okay,
do.
but I also love like other books and publishers too, of course. But okay, Invisibly Unwell.
Yes.
I mean, I think I
March.
want to see women being like, fuck, you know, like me too. Like to spread the word about that. And I think she's a good writer. She doesn't take herself too seriously. She's funny. It's like a right-sized account. She's taken her time to write it, and page. She's really sharp too. So there's that one. There's another one coming out that, I mean, obviously does touch on like, we'll touch on mental health and addiction too, but this woman works with young incarcerated people in the U.S. in prisons.
Okay.
And she did that for, you know, she has a great story too, but like her story about, you know, working with these young people, and like you get to know them in such a like human level and see how.
So like under 18?
Wow.
Cool.
Juvenile
That's incredible.
prisons and the worst. She's sent to the worst first. And so like that is.
When's that coming?
It's called The Light Within the Walls. And that's coming out in May.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's one that I'm really proud of. That's kind of a nice story. It's called When We Forgive. And it's actually collection of stories. Is some of our authors came together with like my editor and was like, we want to do something that's like a giving back project to the foundation side of Life to Paper, which takes like the therapeutic Life to Paper process into like mental health and treatment centers.
Love that.
To help people support their healing. We want to do something for the foundation. Let's write a book together. What's it going to be about? Through sharing our stories, forgiveness came up. So it's a collection of stories of like forgiving when it's been like the hardest thing, or finding forgiveness for yourself, or you know, wanting it to be forgiven, or so it touches on, you know, all our key subject matter love. It's like myself having like father is an addict and falling into it myself, and other people talk about relationship with parents and all kinds of things. I'm really proud of that one because it's like I love the spirit of it and how like the it's almost like the traditions, the 12 traditions have like applied themselves here, not intentionally, but I think because there are people, there are authors in that anthology who are also in recovery.
Right.
And it's so crazy that the doctor at my treatment center who ran a lot of these sessions that helped me understand addiction in the brain and supported me through those 2 months, Dr. Vera Tarman has shared her story in this book as well. Wow. And she like her stuff she's sort of wheelhouse known for is like food addiction. And she has
right up your alley.
She's got books out, like successful books out on that already, but this is the first time that she's like has told, like put in a very personal story. And I like hold that with such like I feel so grateful that she's like part of it, you know. And she was my doctor in treatment.
That's
and now
full
we're
circle.
Full circle. Yeah. Amazing. Is that one out, that book?
No, that's coming out in April.
Okay.
All three of
March,
those,
April,
like,
May.
literally
they're kind of
so good.
They're coming out like they're stacking. They're coming out like you know.
I feel like I'm excited to read now.
Like, me too.
Hearing all that, I'm
Off
like,
the
okay,
top
I
of-
need to read. What would you recommend someone who is struggling with addiction right now, if any listeners are?
I mean, the big book.
I know. I was gonna say like anything but the big book.
I know. You know, I can only share like what I read. One of the first addiction books I read was A Million Tiny Pieces.
Okay.
I think we talked about
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this is before I even knew, like suspected. I don't know if I'd even been using drugs at that point, but I don't know. There was something in that book that I just wanted to stay in there. Like I understood him.
Yeah.
But
we talk about this in sobriety all the time. It's like it doesn't actually matter what people have gone. Maybe it's not addiction. Maybe it's not what we went through. But when you get sober, you can relate to a lot of stuff. Like you can relate to. I'm not a mom, but moms talk about their hardships, and I'm like, I get that in a certain way. The cult thing, like, of course, we've never been in a cult, but the ideas, the self-worth, the lack therefore, like, that come out of it is very similar. And I think it's very cool that you're able to speak with multiple different people about their experiences and bring it to paper. It's amazing.
I think that it's the judgment. Yeah, my grandmother's talked about, like, one of the things she's got from attending meetings to support me, or my father, has been like judgment. Like her judgments come down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
And I think that's my goal. It's like, I felt judged all the time. So the goal is to, like, you know, never make anyone feel
for sure
that way, because I know how it felt, right?
Detrimental.
That's why I like going up to people in the street who are like, you know, unhoused and talking to them if they'll talk to me. My sister had to go to the hospital recently. Nothing bad, it's all good, but you know, but at the time we had to check on something, and there's a woman there who was brought in, and she was she was very agitated. She was really angry. She was yelling and you know, and touched me, and it was a whole scene. And I don't know, they ended up, you know, taking her somewhere, and then they brought her back outside. It was like a really cold day. So I'm like, I'm just going to go outside for a second. My sister's like, don't talk to her. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just going to go outside.
Yeah. You're like, I'm already on the trajectory, babe.
And then I'm just like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
And she wasn't in the space to be able to hear that, right? And I realized that, I'll just say very quickly, but I had to. I had to.
It's almost like our responsibility as sober women, you know,
I just had
like
to.
to make sure when you come across like something, like you do like say something for them, for yourself, to know that you did like what you said, one thing, and that's what they, and if they want to respond, they can. If not, at least you like tried, you know?
Yeah. At least for that moment, they know they're not the only one in the world.
Yeah.
You know? That's a huge one.
There are people who said things to me along the way too that I maybe wasn't didn't receive as well. But they planted a seed somewhere,
for sure.
you know?
And when that seed's planted, you can't like not look away from it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like kindness, just kindness.
Yeah.
Kindness, no judgment, like just that I think helps me. There are some of those nudges I was getting to get me to where I am today, I hope.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I honestly, we could sit here all day.
I know.
But
I love you guys.
Amazing.
This is so cool. I'm so excited to read. And I'm sure the Undrunkies are like, okay, now 2026, we're going to buy all these books, put them on our shelves, and read
really
them.
excited
You
to read
created
all
a
of
really
those.
special space here for people, for me. Like it's like it's been, you know, turned around on me.
It's the best thing to
Yeah.
like just talk to sober people, to talk to people doing things and caring about others. It's the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming, and we're so excited for these March, April, May. Big months.
September,
amazing.
Be a fun year this year. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, so proud of you.
So proud of you.
Same.
And we're proud of you. All right.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Girl Undrunk. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Girl Undrunk Podcast, and or send me an email at heather@girlundrunk.com.